Hi, Jake and I again. And Jake's got an eye on me, making sure I'm doing everything okay and all right. I wanted to talk about Robert Frost in a way. As a school principal, I once delivered this piece of advice to a graduating class. I started out by saying, growing old is mandatory, growing up is optional. The quote has often been attributed to Chili Davis and even Walt Disney. I don't know, but I do think there's a lot of words of wisdom there. What I was trying to tell my students is that we have no way of preventing growing old. But that doesn't mean we have to put aside the things that make us enjoy lives. Our natural curiosity, the love of family, the joy we experience when we see something new come our way. I gave that speech when I was about to retire 21 years ago. Now I find it much truth in those words. I cannot do anything about being 84. That's a fact. But I can grab each day and wring the hell out of it. As I do this podcast, I'm also working on a children's picture book, my fifth one. I'm preparing to make a presentation to seniors at a senior center about the history of Leduc. And I'm writing articles for the local newspaper about that history. I enjoy talks with my wife over many varied subjects from the old days to the current political situations, both in Canada and the United States. Speaking of political affairs, I've pretty much stayed away from talking about politics, even though I have a background in political science. I think my mom's advice of if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. However, I think those days are coming to an end because at some point you have to say something. So probably in the next few articles, in the next podcast, you're going to see me. Yeah, I know, Jake. I'm going to have to talk about it sooner or later. Now, along the trail of getting old, there was a number of times I came across Robert Frost's two trails, and I had to choose one. And for the most part, I think I chose the one less traveled by. But you can never know. Events in one's life leads us to make decisions sometimes that are not wise. And other times they lead us to places we could never have imagined going. Let me tell you a story of one such trail. It started in 1967 when my first marriage was going south and I decided to go north to Canada. 2 years later, while trying to make a phone call to a fellow basketball coach, I stumbled across a very interesting telephone operator. Make a long story short, we had a blind date in December. I proposed in February, and we got married in June. That was 55 years ago. And I still have the pleasure of waking up to the most beautiful woman I've ever met. Some say it was faith, but I'm not a religious man, and I like to think it was my decision to take the trail less traveled by that brought me to that phone call. Before we close, we'd like to thank Simply Pancake for becoming a subscriber to our YouTube presentation. Have a good day, and Jake and I will see you down the road on trails, hopefully less traveled by.